Fuck it.
And the Survivor Specialists, Phil and Alexa, are back, and Alexa starts it with the first F-bomb ever dropped on the Survivor Specialist podcast, probably since Chris was on here. Maybe Brett. I don't know. Anyway, that's episode 11 of Survivor Game Changers in the books. I forgot to close my window, so if you hear a plane like right now, it's because where I live in LA, it's a hell of a place. But we had Zeke go home tonight, and Adam and Alexa were right on that, but I took Andrea in the Eliminator game, further proving them wrong, at least in that sense. So I'm feeling really hot about that right now.
That's not fair. We didn't even pick anyone. I was going to say.
You told me not to take Andrea, though.
Adam told you not to take Andrea. I'm going to blame this on Adam. I was going to say, look at us. Phil picked Andrea correctly. I picked Zeke correctly. We're both smart, but you're more than welcome to just keep throwing it at me. I was going for the teamwork aspect, but it seems like that's a one-way street.
I mean, I can't give you and Adam any more credit. Supposedly there's an Adam and Alexa show that might be popping up at some point where Phil gets completely thrown onto the curb. So I need to make sure everybody realizes that can't happen, because I took Andrea. I stood my ground against you guys. Could have taken Sierra and still been okay. I really thought Sierra was going home tonight. And we're going to talk about this move of the 5 girls deciding to vote out Zeke tonight and whether or not it was actually the right one. And this episode starts off with Sarah talking about how she flipped. And based on that, I'm going to say that the girls made the wrong move in getting rid of Zeke tonight.
Yeah, the thing about Sarah admitting to flipping, at the moment I was okay with it, and I still am, because she knows the game that she's playing. Even though she committed to voting for Zeke tonight, at one point she's saying, I could just keep going back and forth to play, and this is how she's going to play. So her being upfront about it, I think, is smarter for her long term, because if she's sneaky about it, then no one's going to trust her. If she's saying up front, hey, I'm just going to vote for whoever I feel like it, and I'm just going to roll with whoever else is down for it, she's at least being honest with people. So I really applaud her for that.
No, I think that she's being honest with people, but I think that the reason this is a bad move is Michaela said it best tonight, which I never thought I would really say, but Michaela said it best. She said, if we get it down to 6-3, that's good. If we get it down to 5-4, all we need is one person to flip. Sarah just admitted to flipping, and now you're voting out somebody that she clearly does not want to vote out because she feels a very strong connection to Zeke. And then you vote out Zeke. Why? Like, you're pretty much telling Sarah you're not as important as what everybody else thinks here. We're more worried about Andrea and Cerie's game. I think this is a bad move. I think Sarah's going to end up flipping on them because she's already proven that she will do it. She told them outright she will flip, and then they get rid of what she feels to be her closest ally.
I think it was a bad move for the whole group, like you said, because having just one number, and Michaela was telling that to Sarah, and Sarah was probably like, yeah, I'm going to do that in 3 days. Like, talk to you then. So it was an emotional move, because I think Andrea has been on the Zeke train for a while, and nothing was stopping that train. And I really didn't think that Michaela and Sarah were going to go for it, because they never said, oh yeah, I could vote for Zeke, or I could do this. They just said, I'm not voting for Zeke. So shame on me for just buying that at face value. What I was confused about is, where did all these tie votes come from? Well, like the way that this was broken up was very weird.
Sierra and Brad both pretty much said, we'll do whatever we want. So what I think ended up happening was Zeke was actually trying to get Sierra out. So he's probably telling those guys it's going to be Sierra, or that's what he wants to tell those guys, it's going to be Sierra, because he was talking to Brad and he was talking to Troyan. But he also said to them, I can't let you in on what tonight's vote is. So Sierra's over talking to the girls, and the girls are probably like, look, we're voting for Ty tonight, so get ready, because they can't say we're voting for Sierra, which is what Zeke thinks it's happening. So they say we're voting for Ty tonight. So the 3 of them vote for Ty. Now the girls were obviously going to vote for Zeke, but they weren't going to tell the other side that they're voting for Zeke because they didn't need them. They didn't need those numbers because they already knew Zeke couldn't vote. Like, Zeke was going to vote for Sierra, and that they were convincing these other people to vote for Ty. So I really think that this was just the other side playing it really well and saying, look, we want to work with you. Just write down, like Sierra saying, I'll write down any name. I don't care who it is. And I think that's why she ends up writing down Ty, because that's what she was told. And they really did split it by convincing Zeke that it was going to be Sierra. So they don't even have to worry about convincing the others to vote with them.
Yeah, you bring up a good point there. It was just weird that we never even saw his name once. I mean, I knew Sierra was going to get a stray vote, but we got a lot of Brad. We got 4 Brad confessionals tonight. I think Brad either led or Brad tied with Sarah. I have written down for confessionals. So I was thinking that he might be the one they threw it to. It was just weird that we never got a, hey, Sierra, vote for Ty. Like, we didn't even get a glimpse of that, which is fine because clearly Ty wasn't going home. Mm-hmm. What I fear is that Ty has just been told that he is the dispensable one in that group, because within his now minority, he has just been told, yeah, if we're going to throw votes at someone, it's going to be you. And I fear that that's going to bring out a paranoia, and that would do the exact same thing for me. And I think now we're going to get some exciting idol plays.
Well, but I don't know so much, because Ty also voted for Sierra. So what is that kind of saying? That's kind of saying, yeah, you were desperate and you voted for Ty, and Ty saying, well, I was desperate and I voted for Sierra. I think this is more of a self-preservation move.
But it was a 3-1. I mean, his entire alliance voted.
Yeah, his entire alliance voted for him, probably because, I mean, I think he knows that he's fourth in that alliance, but I also think he knows he has 2 idols, and that's why he's not too worried about it. I really think that the way this was set up, we got Michaela crying at the end of the Zeke boot. She's crying because that happens, not because she didn't vote for Zeke and she was shocked that Zeke went. She's crying because she's worried with Zeke, that Zeke was really somebody she felt close with, and so did Sarah. And I think I could see Sarah and Michaela flip into that other side, because they'd be fools to go to the end with Aubry, Suri, and Andrea anyway. The 3 of them would kill them in a final. So I really think that you're going to see this Sarah and Michaela alliance probably flip over, because it just doesn't make sense. They didn't want to get rid of Zeke. I feel like they got rid of Zeke to appease those people, because I think they're going to get rid of them soon. I said it this week. I thought they were going to flip on Sierra. They didn't end up doing it, but I still think they're going to end up I still think they're going to end up wiping out that other side eventually. And
we saw a lot. I really liked how what Michaela had to say tonight. She was spot on with her 5 and 4 comment, but I'm seeing a lot of people saying that she's upset that Zeke went. She voted for him. She's upset because she had that whole monologue earlier on in tribal council that said, you can't, like, I have to turn my heart off. I have to turn my heart off. And again, I wish we had seen more of their relationship, because they talked tonight. Have we seen them talk at any other point this season?
Really.
Because I haven't. And I would have been a lot more emotionally invested in Michaela being upset and Zeke going home if I knew that they were that close. She burst out in tears the second he was gone, because she knew that he was going home. It just seemed so out of place, because I hadn't seen them talking before.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they didn't show this, because in the last time that somebody played back-to-back, it was Malcolm. Well, wait, no, it was 30-31, but I'm not counting that, because that was really, you had the time off and everything. But I'm counting 25-26. That was the last time somebody played back-to-back. So you have Malcolm playing back-to-back. He didn't have anybody else to align with. We saw a lot of really good emotion. And then before that, we had Russell playing back-to-back from Samoa to Heroes vs. Villains. Didn't have anybody from his season. But before that, we had the Micronesia one, where you saw a lot of emotion in the James and Amanda alliance. And then even before that, you had Stephanie and Bobby John coming back. And the reason Bobby John makes the jury in that season is because he says to Stephanie, I deserve this. And she feels a connection with him. You can build these connections because they played on previous seasons together. And instead, we just really got nothing, which I'm really surprised at, because they could have easily been a part of each other's story.
Yeah, absolutely. And this Millennials vs. Gen X was a very well-received season, and they were 2 very popular players. So I found it very odd that we saw no interaction, to the point where we thought they weren't even working together. We thought there was no relationship there. So I really wish we'd gotten to see more of that, because I think that would have humanized both of them, and that would have given us a better look into how these relationships work. So I really wish we got to see more of that. But man, we've had Michaela eating popcorn, and now we've had Michaela crying. So we've come full circle on Michaela.
Maybe she was crying because she forgot to bring the popcorn and the tea. Maybe that's why she was crying.
I saw that on Reddit. I thought that was
funny. See, I didn't see that on Reddit. I came home and I'm just sitting here. I haven't looked at Reddit or anything yet.
That means that you're creative.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to take the credit for. Yeah, so maybe if somebody wants to enlighten that, I always forget to say this, but if you're commenting either Twitter at Phil_and_Will, or do it on the last video, the one that we did with Adam, our predictions, it's on, the link is in the description. So you just go over there, click on there, leave a comment. We'll read most. Okay. So immunity. Well, I guess we don't really have to talk about the immunity. Well, whatever. We're jumping in the immunity challenge because I said so.
We're going backwards.
Yeah, whatever. We're just going all over the place. The immunity challenge, I like this challenge. I always think this challenge is interesting because you see it happen where you're like, you want to play it safe because you want to make sure that they actually fall, but they only give you so many. You saw how much room Andrea still had left over at the end. I'm really surprised, and I don't know if they just they edited it this way, but it seemed like not that many people knocked their stuff over. I know we saw Brad do it, and I'm sure one or two other people did it, but those three girls who were left at the end, they hadn't knocked it over between Sarah, Sierra, and Andrea. Because if they had, my God, they must have knocked it over and gotten right back into it, or they all knocked it over at the same time because they were all close the entire time.
I feel like they would have shown it, especially because they were close from beginning to end, those three. I feel like they would have shown it if they did, but that stepping area, that seemed really hard. I would have tripped over that like 10 times. So I'm surprised, or maybe just impressed, that we had so few tiles being knocked over. But yeah, that's a classic challenge. That's a good one. It's obviously, I prefer it over the what we've been getting, just a lot of physical stuff, and then a puzzle that neutralizes all the physical aspects, and you just have to figure out the obscure word like metamorphosis, or in the reward challenges case, reinventing. We got a lot of weird recommendations for what that word should have been. Yeah, that was a good challenge. Andrea crushed it. She was great.
Yeah, and I'm glad I swallowed my pride on the and took Andrea in my fantasy game, because now that's 2 immunity challenges she's won, and she's like a threat. I really think that if Andrea loses the next immunity, she's got to be the one that the other side tries to target, because she's a threat in every challenge. I mean, that's a challenge pretty much that should be easier for somebody like Sierra Dawn Thomas, who has great balance and is very tall. So she's not having to lift as high as everybody else. And she was in there, but Andrea was so fast, and that's harder for somebody who's smaller, because those aren't low to the those are low to the ground, but they're not that low. Andrea's high step in that entire time, and like Jeff said, that's exhausting. I mean, Andrea did great in that challenge, and it was pretty impressive how well she did and how she won.
How well she did. Yeah, those were super high. I just flung my headphones in my face, because they cut to Brad, and he was high stepping. So those looked, I think those were deceivingly tall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, Michaela was in on that, and Michaela's another one. She finally started doing well in challenges tonight, which is always fun to see, because when we had Adam on the predictions, he was like, I hope Michaela wins an immunity challenge. She's good. It just seems like right now, because Michaela never got to play an individual portion of the game, these challenges are all kind of new to her. Andrea's probably, I don't know exactly which ones Andrea's done, but I know that Andrea's probably done some of these challenges before, and you start to mentally prepare for this is probably what we'll see at 11. This is probably what we'll see at 12. You start to think of things like that. Michaela's never made it that far, so even if you've seen every episode of the show, you don't actually know what it feels like to be hanging on that pole or doing whatever. But Michaela, I think, is finally starting to grab her footing a little bit.
Yeah, the thing with Andrea is that just comes with having 2 seasons under your belt. So no matter how many she's done, she at least knows the process of going through immunity challenges. So that's obviously been a huge advantage to her, on top of the fact that she's already just extremely athletic. The thing with Michaela is she finally got the chance in the reward challenge, and Jeff even said that. Jeff said Michaela finally has the chance to prove herself, because she wasn't picked to compete in the previous reward challenge, and she held her own. She started off against Brad, and they were neck and neck the whole time. And obviously the entire physical part was negated by the puzzle. But I think Michaela had a great showing. And still, Andrea is the immunity threat right now. It's not Michaela. And as much as I want to see Michaela run the table, she's in a good position in that she's still very athletic and can hold her own. But she is not seen as the Andrea who has won 2 immunity challenges already. That's huge for her.
And here's why I think tonight's vote was a mistake, is because Andrea is clearly viewed as a threat immunity-wise. Sari is a huge jury threat, and then I think Aubry is just a threat strategically. So you have these 3 people who are all threats, who are all clearly aligned. You have Sarah and Michaela now, who I think know they can't beat them, and we're very close with Zeke. By saying we're getting rid of Zeke as opposed to getting rid of Sierra, you could have broken this into 3 groups of 3, as opposed to doing one group of 4 and then one group of 5 is what it should be, but you've eliminated the closest tie to that alliance for Sierra and Michaela, or for Sarah and Michaela. If you get rid of Sierra, you have Brad, Troyan, and Ty who are sitting ducks on that side. Sarah and Michaela might still flip over to them, but because Zeke also wasn't really tight with Andrea, so they were in a tricky position. But by getting rid of Zeke, you get rid of their tie to that alliance and almost make it seem like he's your ally, but he's not so much mine. I don't really care so much about your game, which, in the end, you're not supposed to care about the other person's game as much. But I feel like that's very telling of where Sarah should feel like she stands in that alliance.
Yeah, and you made a good point, a good comment about Brad, Ty, and Troyan potentially sitting ducks. There are 3 idols in that group of sitting ducks, and they haven't even been mentioned. And that is ultimately what's going to help that, at the moment, current minority, might not be minority for much longer because Sarah could probably flip over. That's what's going to be huge for them. We have Sierra's got the legacy advantage, which it turns out that she's going to tell Sarah about, as we saw in the preview. Troyan's got an idol. Ty's got 2 idols. And what's even more insane about this is that none of them know that anyone else has these. So at some point, they got to communicate. And I'm surprised they haven't. Maybe they have, and it just hasn't needed to come up, so they haven't shown us yet. But we're in a very weird position where there is so much power, so much under the radar power in all of these external factors, but no one knows about them and no one's really talking about them.
No, and what's very interesting is I thought we had a great scene tonight between Ty and Troyan where the two of them are talking to each other saying, well, maybe they'll find another idol. Maybe they'll hide another idol, all this stuff, but neither one is telling them that they have idols. And it's great because here's 2 people who really do, as crazy as it is, Ty and Troyan kind of hold the power in this game with those idols, because in a situation now where it's 5-4, Adam said it 5,000 times on the last podcast, Andrea could get idled out by Troyan. And Troyan holds so much power and Ty holds so much power. They're aligned together, yet they're sitting there talking to each other like, well, we could always still find an idol, as if they don't have 3 between the 2 of them. And I think that's a really fun scene to watch as a viewer, because you're like, man, we know so much more than they do, and they're hiding it from each other. Like that's really good gameplay, and it shows a lot of restraint on their part where they're like, we're in this alliance, but we don't want to make a bigger target for ourselves. And I think Sierra's making a bad move next week by telling Sarah that she has that legacy advantage, because Sarah's going to want to get rid of Sierra so maybe he can get in her possession or get in somebody she's closer aligned with, because it's not something that Sierra can use at any time. Sarah wants that as close to her at Final 6 as possible, because right now the way this is lining up is if, let's say Sierra does go home next week or Andrea goes home or whatever it is, if they can get down to Final 6, Sarah, Brad, Troy, Ty, there's a very good possibility Ty and Troy won't have to play any of their idols. And if Sierra has given up that legacy advantage, there could be 4 idols in play at Final 6, which is really crazy. And if you're Sarah, you don't want to be sitting there at Final 6 having that whole alliance or having somebody who's against you have that legacy advantage. And even though you don't know about these other idols, you don't want to be in a situation where like, oh my God, I go home like in a Kimmy Kappenberg way, because there's no other way. There's no other person to go home.
And on top of that, Sarah's got her vote steal. So Sarah very well could use that in this medley of idols and advantages. And the good thing for Sarah is that Sierra told her. So if Sarah dumps her, Sierra probably gives her advantage. Let's say Sierra goes home next week. She gives her legacy advantage probably to Sarah or to Brad.
No, I don't know. She gives it to Brad. She gives it to Brad.
Maybe she does. She was more than happy to throw Brad out the window today, though. And I think she and Sarah and Sierra, this is really hard to say in the same sentence, and Sari.
Yeah, we got to get rid of them.
They have a tighter bond than I think we're shown. I think they're still both playing very strategic games, and they're still playing games for themselves, obviously. But I think there's more relationship than we're seeing. She definitely gives it to one of the 2. It's probably Brad. But even so, then like how many different advantages and idols could be thrown around, and I want them all in one tribal council.
Yeah,
but then unfortunately that's going to knock out an Aubry or an Andrea
or a Sari.
Hopefully not Sari, probably Sari.
Yeah,
because just it's been going.
This is what's crazy about this right now. Sierra is still the biggest threat on that side, and it seems like Sarah's going to try to buddy up with her. I still think Sarah has to get rid of Andrea or Aubry, and you have to start making nicks into that alliance, because you can get rid of Sierra next week, but you got to make the move to get rid of an Andrea and Aubry who are actual jury threats and actually are like good at challenges and stuff, because that can really hurt you. It's really insane that at Final 6 we could have 4 idols that are still out there, and we could have somebody go home from that other side just because. And Sarah does not want to be that person, and it's something she probably can't even prepare for. But being told that this girl has a legacy advantage and you have an extra vote, you might be trying to get rid of Sierra at some point just to be like, yo, now I can say, oh, the legacy advantage didn't come to me. I know Brad has it. So now I'll go after Brad. And I have this extra vote, so I can still make sure one of them goes home at any other time.
And the thing about the legacy advantage that, for many reasons, makes it separate from the other advantages is that it can only be played at a very specific time. Sarah's vote steal can be played whenever. These idols can be played whenever. So Sierra puts herself, unless she, depending on how much of a description she gives to Sarah, she's putting herself at even more of a disadvantage because she's saying, I have this thing, but I can only use it X tribal councils from now. I can't use it tonight. She's basically saying, here's this free thing. Yeah, she's saying, which is, I get she's playing desperation mode, but she played it tonight and she played it fairly well. So I think she might be diving a little too deep into desperation mode.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out with that side because, you know, like we've talked about the edit from Sierra, Brad, Sarah, those are your three big edits right now. Cerie's picked up, obviously, but those are your big edits. And Troyan's not a very well developed character necessarily on this season, but they're treating him a lot like Ken on Millennials vs. Gen X, where even though Troyan's not getting the confessionals, he's always in scenes talking, which is very interesting because that's what happened a lot with Ken. Ken would be talking to David, and there would be like a minute-long scene of him talking to David, but we would never hear a confessional from Ken. And that's kind of what we're getting from Troyan here. He had that hashtag moment tonight at the immunity challenge. He's sitting there talking to Ty. Who else did he talk to? He had another moment where he was saying, oh, no, you did okay, or something like that to somebody. I forget what it was, but Troyan is, when he's talking to Zeke too, Troyan's the one who starts that conversation up. Brad gets a confessional after, but Troyan's the one that says, what's up, buddy? Like it's interesting. Yeah, it's little things, but like, one, he's not in danger, and two, like, they're constantly putting him on your screen. He's not getting an invisible edit. He's getting an under the radar edit, which makes me think he's getting the Ken edit. So if those are your most developed characters, plus Ty, who obviously has had a confessional in every episode, I just don't see how the other side comes out on top.
Did Ty have a confessional last week?
No, last week he didn't. Last week he didn't. My bad.
Okay, because tonight he had one, and I remember thinking, like, wow, we haven't talked to Ty in a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, but that's my whole theory on this is that's where we've seen the edits. So I'm really curious to see how the rest of the season plays out because I'd be really surprised if the next 3 to go are Sierra, Brad, Troy. Like I'd be really surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Sierra goes. I wouldn't be surprised if Brad goes. Because I think one of them could easily win the game, but I don't think both of them have to get to the end. But I would be really surprised if they all went in succession because we've just seen so much of them. And it would almost feel like Worlds Apart, where we lost Haley, we lost Jen, we lost Joe, we lost Shireen. And it was like, those were your edits. Obviously, Mike's going to win now. Rodney's gotten a good edit, but we've been told he's kind of a doofus. But nobody else really has an edit at all. We know Mike's going to win. So if that were to happen, it would be like, well, it has to be Sarah or it has to be Cerie.
And with that logic, and I'm going about 10 minutes backwards in our conversation.
I think you froze.
Here.
You went so far back in your conversation that you froze.
I could tell that I froze. Anyways, what I was going to say, I'm going about 10 minutes back. On the topic of Aubry, we know that Aubrey's a very good player. And we went into this thinking like Aubry was a massive threat. I do not see much of a scenario where Aubry wins just because she has been on the wrong side of the vote up until very recently. We're not seeing much of a relationship. Apparently she and Andrea are super close, which is another relationship we haven't been told about. So I really wish just we've been seeing more of these relationships because in my world, I'm thinking there's no chance that Aubry can win because no one talks to her and no one has a relationship with her. But apparently people do, and we're just not seeing it. I don't know why they're hiding these relationships from us because that would make these votes not make more sense, but it would just give more context to them. And I feel like we're not getting a lot of context.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when we talked to Julia on when we did our cast assessment, she had said like Aubry was kind of game body and didn't make the connections that Michelle made with people, and that's why Michelle ended up winning. And I almost felt like that's where it was going at the beginning of the season when Aubry was like, I can't find a way in. I can't talk to anybody. And we thought, Will and I originally, when we did our initial cast assessment, we were like, Aubry's done. You brought her back this fast. She's the biggest threat out there other than Tony, Sandra, and Cerie. There's no way Aubry makes it far. She's going to get we thought what was going to happen to Aubry is what happened to Sierra Easton. So what's crazy, though, is I think once you're actually around Aubry, I think she lets you let your guard down a little bit. I don't think people are really looking at Aubry as a threat. I mean, she's funny, but I think she's also she's so game body that I don't think people really look at her as this threat to win jury votes, which is weird. Because I thought she'd be a huge threat coming in as somebody who everybody was like, oh, she got snubbed. But the fact that she's still around and we haven't even really heard her name come up leads me to believe that like, and we've also heard her say that she's having a hard time making these connections. It leads me to believe that she's not as threatening as we might think she is.
Yeah. Egg. That was her word of the night. She said egg, and she had like
that was hilarious.
Two confessionals. That was freaking hilarious. I want her to just say singular food words for the rest of the season, and then she goes on and wins. That's what I want her final jury, her final plea to the jury to be. But
you froze again.
Yeah, I mean, I
You're back.
Man, this Ethernet cord is not doing well for me tonight. Anyways, I think we are seeing more. I mean, I guess we are seeing more of a game body word that I like to use with her, because we get a lot of character moments with her, and that's what I love so much about her, and I think that's what everyone loves about Aubry. But it's a bit like the Haley scenario where, like, why did Haley go home both times? Why isn't she connecting with people? It's just not making sense for us, and I think it's not making sense for them either. Yeah,
no, I think you're right. It's gonna be weird how Aubry fits here, and like if Aubry comes to play again, like one day, like what was Aubrey's whole thing? Because we clearly know her story from Koron, but what's her story now? And like she seems like a fun person. She's really great with the confessionals and everything, but when she's talking to people in real life, is she just coming across as, I could take Aubry to the end and beat her? Or she is also aligned with Sari and Andrea, which is a crazy move on her part. I mean, those are three women who are probably the three at this point in the game. They are like the biggest characters that we've seen in previous seasons, the biggest threats to win this game from previous seasons. So it's kind of crazy that they're all aligned together. And I wonder if they're doing that purposely, saying the only way I'm getting to the end is if I'm sitting next to one of them anyway. So I might as well just align with them and hope I can get rid of one and beat the other.
Well, that's what Aubry was going for at the beginning. She wanted the threat alliance. She approached Tony, who was the biggest threat out there. And she's like, Tony, we need to defend ourselves. We need to protect each other. So that's the game she's been trying to play. And then just all of these people she tries to align with all go home. And now she's aligned with, we're going way back here, aligned with original Nukus. And she was on original Mana. And I know that really doesn't matter much anymore. But I think whether consciously or subconsciously, she is going to align with these bigger threats, because why get rid of Aubry when you can get rid of Sari? Why get rid of Aubry when you can get rid of two-time immunity challenge winner Andrea? Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I would say Andrea is probably I would say Andrea and Sierra going into next week are still the two most in trouble. Andrea because of what is it with Andrea? Andrea because of her immunity threat and like she could win the game, and then Aubry because. Sierra, because like she's just like the leader of that alliance still, even now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sierra's still the face of that alliance, and she's in deep trouble. She's lucky that the girls wanted to get rid of, or she's like that. Excuse me, Andrea and Sari wanted to get rid of Zeke.
Well, and I want to talk about this at the reward, because we saw like an overnight reward, and it's so funny how things have changed in Survivor, where now we see an overnight reward where we get 30 seconds of it. When we used to get an overnight reward, you would see like every moment of it. I remember like one of the classic ones is Tom and Lex, and they're just like hammered at the thing, and we see like so much of that. We could care less what's going on back at camp. But I thought it was interesting. Brad's talking to Zeke, trying to make an in with Zeke. That seemed like it was working. But what's really interesting is that actually made Zeke a huge target. That might have been the moment where Andrea was like, wow, Zeke really could work with Brad, work with Troyan, work with Sierra, work with Ty. That's not good for me. I got to get rid of him. And it's kind of like Brad was just trying to be friends with him. It worked out for Brad.
It's funny. Zeke's major downfall is talking football with his bros. He and Chris connected over OU football. He goes home. Zeke connects with Brad over football. He goes home. Yeah. I think in the moment, at least for Brad, I think Brad was making a good move. And Zeke even said, he was like, I like Brad. I think we have a good connection. Let's make this happen. He briefly talked about like a Zeke, Brad, Troy, a couple other people, final five. He was ready to make a move. And yeah, it didn't help that
what was it? Sarah and Michaela, right? That's who it was. That was the five.
It must have been. Yeah. Cause I think he was talking to Sarah. About it. So you're right. So that was that five that he was talking about. But yeah, I guess so it's just not a conversation you have when Andrea's like creeping in the corner.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I'm surprised that they actually went with this and didn't vote out Sierra and voted out Zeke instead, because Michaela and Sarah really could have just been like, oh, we'll work with Zeke all the way to final five, unless they're trying to act like they're still in with this other group and then they'll jump ship. But they wanted to get rid of oh yeah, cool, we'll get rid of this person because we'll still have the numbers anyway. They're actually, I don't think Andrea and Sari and Aubry even realized they kind of weakened themselves in this episode.
Yeah, I don't think they did either. I really think that they Andrea just really wanted Zeke on because one of them needed to go. It was a Zeke and David situation. They were just going to keep butting heads. Someone was going to go home. I would like to learn more about why Michaela did this. And Sarah, too, to an extent, because Michaela was the one saying the math doesn't add up. This is not going to stack in our favor. My theory is Michaela's finally in with a group, and this group values her opinion and wants to work with her. And she's saying, I can't F this up. I can't leave. I can't do this. So I get why Michaela made the move, but I don't think it's good for them, especially because they didn't want to do it the whole time.
Yeah, and Sarah's edit is very interesting to me right now because although Sarah's getting like a big upkick, and we saw her break down at the Zeke Varner moment and everything, so like we've seen kind of a winner's edit from Sarah, but she's so villainous, and like she admits that she flipped. Debbie flips her off. Debbie is never writing Sarah's name down to win the game. Is this something that can actually hurt her by playing so aggressively, and like she's going to have to stab some people in the back? Is she going to be the person who sits at the end and is the victim of a bitter jury? I mean, I think it could easily happen.
I don't know if I'd use the word villainous. She's playing aggressively.
She's getting villainous music, though. Listen to the music when Sarah talks.
She got, where was it? I actually wrote it down. It's somewhere. She got, it was right when Andrea said, okay, we're getting rid of Zeke. And then you got like the piano. Like, I took that as more angry music. And also before that, what needs to be said is as Sarah is walking up to the well where Andrea and Sari are just hanging, waiting to strategize, Sarah makes a wee-oo. That was the freaking funniest thing. And it was so subtle because it was so quiet. And all we've talked about is how Sarah is very straightforward and very forthright in how she talks. But I was like peeing my pants laughing. That was so funny. But I don't want to call it villainous because I think a lot of people like her. I think she has a lot of very personal relationships, and just her interaction with Andrea, it was very like, we're friends. Like, oh yeah, you won the mini challenge. Like, I was just pissed because I didn't win. And just her like congratulating Andrea after she won. She has relationships. So the reason I want to call it villainous is because she's not just like chopping heads off and not feeling bad about it. She's being strategic and smart about what she's doing. I just think with any returning season, she is going to have a bitter jury. I don't think anyone will be as bitter as Debbie, though. I think Debbie was very angry, and I don't really know why.
Debbie will never vote for Sarah. What could be interesting moving forward, though, is if right now the Zeke move doesn't hurt Sarah because, Zeke might feel the most betrayed by Sarah, but Zeke is very, very much realized it's a game. He was very fine with, the Chris thing. He was surprised Chris was so mad at him. All of that type of stuff. Zeke can forgive and forget. Like, that's how Zeke plays the game. He knows it's a game. And it also wasn't just Sarah's move. There were 5 of them who made that move that betrayed Zeke. The people who voted Zeke out tonight were in Zeke's alliance. That's what's kind of crazy about it. They were all supposedly aligned with Zeke, and then they go and vote him out. But it's going to be interesting moving forward if Sarah were to flip and get rid of Andrea, Aubry, Sari. Are they going to be bitter?
Yeah, I don't know if they'd be bitter. I really think it would just be Debbie who's going to be better.
I'm just, Sarah moving forward is going to be the one who has to make the most moves probably one way or the other. I mean, otherwise she's going to go to the final sitting next to Sari, Aubry, and somebody else who she's not going to beat. Andrea, who she's not going to beat. So she needs to kind of flip to the other side. Yeah.
I think Sarah could win in a lot of scenarios, but if she doesn't play it right, she very well could lose.
Yeah. All right, go get your charger.
I'll plug in my computer real quick.
I know, I see it. All right, so Alexa will BRB. So now I don't have anything to talk about because Alexa's gone, which always ruins everything. I do see on here, I guess this is where I can make my big announcement here. Alex Day said, any chance at a finale viewing party for us LA folks? I know we've had a couple people ask this question. The craziness that's going to ensue coming up is pretty wild. So next week I'll still be in LA, but then after that I'm going to be in France and Greece for like the finale. So that's going to be the finale and the episode before. I'm going to be podcasting at like 2 a.m. So this is your warning, everybody. For work, I have to go to the Cannes Film Festival. Have to go. Oh God, it's such a tragedy.
And Greece too.
Yeah, and then I'm going to Greece after. But anyway, that finale episode, I was looking up the times that it's going to be on in Greece. It's from in France. It's going to be 2 to 5. So I'm gonna be killing it.
Oh my gosh, you're going to need a lot of espresso.
I will obviously be there. I'm dedicated to the cause. I'm just letting everybody know that that's what's going to happen. So I'm not going to be able to have a viewing party. You guys can all ask Alexa maybe about the whole New York thing. I don't know. But I'm really mad that it came up this week or this time, because last season I almost got to go to the finale. And my friend ended up taking her boyfriend instead, which is so lame. Why would you take your boyfriend when you could
Why would you possibly do that?
I mean, ridiculous. And now this season, she's like, well, my boyfriend's not watching, so I could totally get you to go with me. Well, guess what, guys? Guess what? Thanks.
Hey, if you want to hook me up with a plane ticket to LA, I'll totally go with your friend.
Okay. I mean, yeah, let me see what's up.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll totally be down to take a stranger that I paid for a plane ticket. She won't think that's like
I'm not a stranger. I'm on the internet.
There you go. Hey, I like that.
Though actually, great. in the topic of viewing parties, Phil, we got to figure out our time difference for these podcasts.
Well, it's perfect. It's perfect for those 2 episodes because you can watch 8 to 9. I'll just be watching from 2 to 3.
Right. But what I was going to say is that there are viewing parties every week in New York. There's like an NYC Survivor fans Facebook group. So for anyone who's in New York City, like, totally join that group because sometimes there's some discussion. Andrea posts in there because she does her Penn fan forum when she's in New York. But I know that there probably will be a viewing party, and I'm going to try to attend. So everyone should go if they live in the tri-state area.
There you go. So Alexa's told you what to do now.
Do it. This is a demand.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to those 2 podcasts. We'll probably do a prediction somewhere in there, but that can be at like any time. So maybe I can do like a normal time, but that's going to be something doing that at 2 a.m. I guess I'll be in France. So.
I was going to say, we can make it fair. And then like for the 2 recaps, we do them at 2 a.m. your time. And then for the predictions, we'll do it at 2 a.m. my time. We already podcast late anyways.
I don't even know what time that is for me when I'm out there. Like the thing is, like, it's like one of those problems too, where like you work the Saturday and Sunday that you're out there. So it's not even like I have those days off, which is like really what's going to suck. Like I'm gonna have to do those at like midnight on Sunday or something. And that might just be 4 o'clock for you. We'll figure it out when we get there. We're really good at doing times and everything.
We already work with the time change. What's another one?
Right, exactly. What's a 9-hour time change when you're working with a 3-hour time change?
What's a 9-hour time change among friends? Nothing.
That's it. All right. So let's Alexa, do we have anything else to talk about here? Do you want to do comments? Because we haven't done comments in like 2 podcasts. Maybe we can rip through some comments. Our views were shockingly low on the Adam thing. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Is it Adam?
No one.
Are you all not like Adam?
Everyone's over him. It's old season, old news.
We should have done Gentry versus Klein.
I know. No, keep that on the. We gotta keep.
I had to say it. I had to say it out loud.
But you keep saying his name wrong. It's Gentry.
I don't care. I can't say it right. We should have done it. I'm sure that'll whatever.
We have a cool game in mind that we're totally gonna do if/when we have any future contestants come on our podcast. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
Any contestants who are watching.
Troyan's sitting there going, "What the hell?
Who's
another Troy? Who's another Troy?" All right. Anyway. All right, so yeah, that was great. Let's do some comments, Alexa. Unless you got anything else.
I mean, if we already talked about Aubry saying egg, and Sarah's cop noise, so we got to what I wanted to talk about.
I said Troyan had the hashtag moment, and they didn't give him the damn hashtag.
That was so insulting. Troyan, we stand with you.
He's begging for it. Okay, Colonel Stars and Stripes. Now, Alexa, this is where we're kind of curious what your tone is on this. Not Alexa, but Colonel Stars and Stripes. What's your tone towards Alexa here? Alexa, you're great and all, but come on. Our fantasy league is still waiting on the drinking game. ETA on this. Beer emoji, beer emoji, beer emoji.
3 beer emojis. Wow. And in that case, I have it made. I can pull it up. I had to tweak it a bit because a lot of people who I referenced got voted out. But I can pull it up. It's like half and half could fit on any generic Survivor season. Half and half could go on this season. I'm happy to read it out now. Predictions podcast, whatever. What do you think, Phil?
You always promise a predictions podcast that never happens.
I can talk now.
I mean, how confident are you in this? I've never heard it. So when I hear these things, I might just start I might heckle you a little bit. Might throw eggs.
I mean, I've seen a lot of Survivor drinking games, so I'm more than happy to make this an open forum. Phil, if you have any ideas, commenters, if you have any ideas, let me know. And then maybe we can implement this for next week's episode and beyond. All right, let me pull this guy up.
I'm gonna need some sort of drinking game when I'm in France, because if I'm gonna be up that late, I'm gonna need something. Give me something that keeps me.
All right. Well, for France, it's going to be like an espresso chugging game for you.
That's fine.
Okay, so I have drink if Jeff comments on someone doing poorly in a challenge. One sip if Jeff references changing the game. 2 sips if a contestant references changing the game.
Ooh, before you continue, I just want to say, Haley is pissed off she got voted out, and she's like, I'm still getting screen time, bitches. And she turns and looks and goes, game changers. And like, the cameras were like, whoa. Like they had like the huge zoom, like the Roy Schneider Jaws shot where like everything goes into weird perception. But yeah, there was that. So Haley said that. And then of course, Debbie comes in with the idiots.
That was incredible. That's like the season in a nutshell. Like that was so freaking funny. That was the thing we forgot to talk about. That was amazing.
But continue.
Okay, 1 sip if Jeff references changing the game. 2 sips if contestant references it. 2 sips if Jeff looks at the ground while saying, come on in, guys. This happens every single time. So get ready.
There's been one episode this season actually it didn't happen, and Dalton Ross called it out, man.
I noticed that. It was so weird. 1 sip if Sari giggles.
Okay.
1 sip if a player who is voted out is referenced, Debbie, Zeke, someone in this current season. 2 if a player from another season, Russell, Amanda, this counts if
Monica.
Jeff references them too. Chug if Monica's referenced.
Wow. Holy crap. Wow. And you know what? You should start this drinking game for next week, because guess what, guys? Monica's coming.
Monica's coming. I timed this up so well.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you must actively chug if Monica's referenced.
Wow.
1 sip if Final 3/Final 4 is referenced. 1 sip if on the chopping block is said. 1 sip if Jeff makes a comment in a challenge that could be taken as a sexual innuendo. Really surprised that hasn't happened yet.
There's been no balls.
I know. To be determined.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll make that reference while Monica's in a challenge and everyone will just die of alcohol poisoning.
There you go.
1 sip if Sarah references being either a cop or a criminal. Finish your drink if she says both of those in the same sentence. 1 sip if one idol/advantage is played. If more than one idol/advantage is played in the same tribal council, finish your drink.
There you go. Is that everything? Or are you still going?
We got 3 more.
Oh my God.
Take a sip if Aubry references food. And then take a sip if the camera takes a liberal shot of Sierra's perfect nails. Take a second sip if she's actively digging or doing a challenge with these perfect nails. Mm-hmm. And then finally, if Michaela consumes some form of food or drink at tribal council, you finish your drink, get a second one, and then finish that one.
Jesus. Well, that's fine, because that's the end of the episode anyway, so you all should be going to bed. That's an intensive drinking game there. So I hope somebody wrote that down. I hope that was good enough for Colonel Stars and Stripes and for everybody else.
I sure hope it was. I can edit it. I mean, this one will be for this season, and then I like making drinking games, and I think this is fun. So I'll make a more generic one for the start of next season, and then can edit it based on players and stuff. But use this for now. I can repeat it. Maybe we can tweet it. I don't know what, but use this one, and I really hope I don't get someone too drunk, because that would be bad.
Yeah, there you go. Alexa's promoting it, and now we're all going to get in trouble. Next week, though, loved one visits. We're going to talk about this on predictions. But if you're HB, are you coming into this seeing Sari and just being like, how the hell did you get here? Like, he has to be saying that to himself when he goes walking out there. When he got the call and was like, HB, we need you to come out, he had to have been like, no way. Like, there's no possible way Sari is still in this game.
Yeah, I love HB's coming back. Monica's coming back. We're going to have a good
Kate Upton. Right? That's who it's got to be for Troyan. It has to be. Who else would it be?
It's actually me.
Is it? Yeah, we just didn't know. That's why he likes us.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
It's got to be Kate Upton. Who else would it be? Maybe
Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander's not going to be happy about that one. Baseball reference, anyone?
I got it. Tarzan's going to be Troyan's loved one.
It's actually going to be Kim.
Yeah, Kim. I'm sure.
Kim's going to come in and teach him how to win, and then he's going to win.
Then he's going to go on a turn here. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Troyan didn't make the loved one visits in his first season. So this will be I hope it's Kate Upton. Like, come on. Who else would it be?
Not a clue. It's probably Jeff.
He's just like, Jeff, I decided on you. All right, we got back-to-back here from Ice X, but I'm going to read both of these because they're both just compliments to us, and that's dope. Still following your show. But time delaying grandpa stuff. This kept me from commenting. If Will returns, please keep Alexa. And he says, what do you mean the Adam and Alexa show? What's wrong with the Alexa and Adam show? See, put Alexa first.
Hey, I'm into that.
Seriously, though, Adam adds a lot, but at this point, it's hard to imagine the show without either Phil or Alexa. Whoever criticized your chemistry early on must be enjoying their dinner of words about now.
But it's funny because the person who criticized us ended up liking us because we thought he was funny.
Exactly. But I just like, hey, you know what? I'm all for compliments, and I'll read all the compliments about us.
Oh, keep reading them.
Yeah. So IceX, I think this is a new, I mean, maybe he's been listening since before this, but it feels like a new listener for like this season. We haven't really read his name before that, but I'm glad you're listening. Glad you're enjoying. Now let's get into the comments that rip our lives apart because people have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Joe Haas, I don't know who MVP is this episode. No one made a move to further themselves. LVP Ty did nothing to get himself out of a hole. LVP. I'm going to say Andrea's MVP, even though this move didn't actually – because right now what happened is exactly what Andrea wanted to happen. She needed Zeke to go. She wanted Zeke to go. Zeke was somebody that she didn't think she could work with again, and she got rid of him. And although I've pretty much said this move might not work for them in the long run, this episode, Andrea did exactly what she wanted to do and technically has set herself up in the majority, although I think eventually Sarah and Michaela flip. I still think you got to say Andrea is the MVP here because she did exactly what she wanted to do, got rid of somebody who was very wishy-washy.
Yeah, that's a pretty good MVP. I know my LVP, I'm going with Sierra. MVP, that's still TBD.
And people vote for that in the comment section of this, like after this is over, so we can actually see it because everybody who's doing it in the live chat right now. There's been more votes in this live chat than we had all of last week. So like put them in the comment section after this episode's over.
Yeah, we had very few comments last week. So as we tell you guys every week, make sure if you want us to read or remember a comment, make sure to put it physically on Twitter or on this video so that we can read you next week. Because yeah, we had like 10 MVP, LVP votes, and the person who won should have won, but that's neither here nor there. So Sierra's definitely my LVP because she was just put in a worse position, and I only see her being in a worse position because she's going away and telling people about her advantage. MVP, I mean, I'm tempted to say Andrea because, like you said, she got what she wanted. She won immunity. I mean, she couldn't have had a better episode. I just don't think she's set up to do very well in the future. But in the context of just this episode, Andrea's MVP.
Yeah, which is what MVP, LVP is supposed to be. It's supposed to be in the context of the episode.
For sure.
LVP is tough to give to Sierra because Sierra didn't go home and somebody from her alliance didn't go home. And yes,
the LVP can't be the person who went home.
No. But I'm saying it wasn't somebody from her alliance who went home.
Oh.
And she was.
But she didn't. She didn't vote for the person. It's hard for me
to say Sierra's the LVP because she was the biggest target coming into this week, and she survived it.
But she got played. She didn't vote for Zeke.
She got played, but it doesn't. But she's still there. I don't think she so much got played. If she got played, she'd be gone. She was
but she's still there. Like that can't be a justification for her not getting LVP.
No. What I'm saying is it's hard to call somebody the LVP who's the biggest target in the minority alliance and they don't go home and nobody from their alliance goes home. It's very hard to call that person the LVP because from one week to the next, she's the one who's supposed to be going home that night. She did something right enough to not go home.
Who would you put at LVP instead of her?
I mean, it's this week. I don't really. There's no clear LVP. That's the thing. Like you could say it's Michaela because she lost a close ally. You could say it's Sarah because she kind of just went with that group and lost a close ally. I think they're setting themselves up better for next week. But for this week right now, was this the right move for them? And it seems like they kind of got pushed around by these three, Andrea, Aubry, and Sari, to make sure Zeke went home. So it's a really hard one because I don't actually feel like there was one.
Yeah, I don't want to give it to Michaela or Sarah because it was their decision to get rid of him. They very well could have gone with Zeke, Brad, Troy, and Sierra, but they didn't. That's why I'm not tempted to give them the LVP because it was their active decision.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yeah. Gamer Girl, why would Sarah tell them they flipped? I think that was a bad move for her. I think that was a bad move too. You don't want. I mean, I get like she's being honest, but it could be just too much.
I'm okay with it for now. I just hope she doesn't. They're actually at this point, like if she keeps flipping, then everyone's gonna know it's her. That's why I think it's okay that it was like she was the one who said it rather than them figuring it out. But I mean, I'm always a believer that honesty is the best policy, but there's a way to play it.
Yeah, and that might not always be the case for this show.
Exactly.
All right, so we have Colonel Stars and Stripes. Our Survivor Fantasy League's frontrunner team consists of Ty, Aubry, Brad, and Sierra. What are the odds at them going further? I think they're pretty high.
Pretty darn high.
Yeah, because Sierra will go first from that group, and then you're down to Ty with the Idols and Brad there, and I think Sarah is in the driver's seat right now. I think Aubry is like the least threatening of that Andrea, Suri, Aubry. So yeah, I actually think that's a really good 4.
Yeah, that's a good fantasy team. Good job.
Yeah. Gamer Girl was the chaos in last week's preview foreshadowing Zeke's blind side. I didn't see any other chaos. There wasn't much chaos, but there was a lot of maneuvering this week.
Yeah, I mean, they played it up to be like massive chaos, which obviously didn't end up happening. But on a Zeke boot episode, we're going to get a lot of moving back and forth.
Yeah. Gamer Girl, why does no one on the jury look happy? Could this season's jury be bitter? I mean, whoever is happy to be on the jury, you're not supposed to be happy on the jury.
Farner would have been happy to be on the jury.
That's the only one. But yeah, I mean, nobody's like happy to be on the jury. And they also all play it up. I think the only one who's actually mad is Debbie. Like, Haley's having the time of her life.
Well, Haley and Ozzy are dancing off into the sunset together as Debbie just hangs out.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, fun fact, Zeke said before the season began that the women would dominate the strategic game, and he was very much correct. So far, yes, he really is.
Yeah, they're kicking some booty.
Yeah, I mean, all we have left is what? Troy, Ty, and Brad. And Brad's the only one who's really – well, I mean, Brad and Ty are both playing strategically. I think Troyzan's playing the strategic game he wants to. They're just not playing – none of them are playing flashy strategic games.
Yeah, and it's also there's just more women, and they all happen to be in the exact same alliance.
Yeah. Giovanni Oriana, how disappointed were you that Troyzan didn't get that hashtag during the immunity challenge?
Very. What was the phrase that Jeff said?
I forget.
Me too.
Exactly
I heard the green. Someone tell us.
I forget exactly what it was. Gamer Girls, something I still don't understand even after he's gone. Why were people hating on Zeke? Was it because he turned on Andrea? I think people were just hating on Zeke because he always felt like he needed to make the big moves when he didn't have to. And tonight it was great. He's like, you got to make the move when it's the right timing. That's what Survivor's all about. And we'll find out if the timing was right tonight, but it's funny that like he goes realizing like the timing's not right to make a big move here. He's like, no, let's just get rid of somebody on the other side. Like that's our best move. Trying to play it safe. That's when Zeke goes home.
And that's what I said in our predictions with Adam. I said Zeke is going to want to just make his move and play his game. And that's why he's going home.
Giovanni Oriana, Ty is a lone wolf now since Troyzan, Sierra, and Brad all voted for him. And with 2 idols, everyone needs to watch out. I really don't think Ty is going to be as much of a lone wolf as we're thinking because he also voted against that alliance. It's a self-preservation vote. They all made it through. The 4 of them would be stupid to be at each other's throats still.
I don't think he's a lone wolf. What I did say and what I still believe is that it's just very telling that they all went in on him. It's not like all 4 went in different directions, but he's not by himself.
Yeah. Jacob Kaufman, do you think Michaela will try and flip on her alliance? I do. If Sarah goes, I think Michaela goes. I know Michaela was very close with Suri, but I think we
see Michaela high-fiving with Troyzan. I missed who the other 2 were in the preview. She was in the water with 3 other people.
By the way, how funny was it when Sarah was going for the high five to Andrea? Like, oh, you did so great. And then Andrea just like wouldn't put her hand up. And Sarah just like put her hand down and then went back for the high five again.
I totally missed that.
Yeah, it was when they were at the water.
I love failed high fives. I need to rewatch that.
It was hilarious. Aaron Weiner, Michaela was crying when he was leaving, but she voted for him. She didn't want to get rid of him, but she had
that was the emotional side of Survivor.
Yep. Wub, I don't see this move as bad. Zeke and Sarah had planned to flip next vote anyways. It was a wash, in my opinion.
I just can't not laugh when I hear Wub.
Caitlin Rhea, this episode felt so random. When did Michaela become so attached to Zeke, and when did Ty become a target? Ty was not actually a target tonight. But
that's what I'm saying. Why did they pick Ty, and how close are Michaela and Zeke?
That Michaela and Zeke thing was very important. That Ty thing was just to throw them off because they knew that Ty was the one who was definitely 4th. So they're like, look, we're just going to get rid of Ty, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I just wanted one sentence. Just one sentence.
I was surprised when Zeke went because of how this was edited. Oh,
I figured Zeke was going home.
I don't know. Caitlin Rhea, do you think Michaela's reaction to Zeke being voted out was genuine, or does she deserve an Oscar for that performance? I think it was genuine.
That was definitely genuine.
Michaela isn't a good actor, as we've seen.
No.
Aaron Weiner, so glad Zeke is out. I don't think he's a game changer and don't like his gameplay. T-Rex, is it possible that Ty flips going with Cirie, Andrea, Michaela, and Aubry after his alliance voted against him? He could, but I keep saying it was self-preservation. He still could. I'm not counting it out. I just wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to feel he's definitely going to feel a little paranoid. I don't think he's going to feel outwardly betrayed.
Mm-hmm. Wub, I'm mildly annoyed that Sarah can keep playing the Will Wall game on an all-star season without consequences. Bad players around her. She is playing that game.
and it's impressive that people are okay with it. It's really crazy. If she pulls this off, if she wins with this strategy, like not many other people have done that.
No, that's why I think it's going to be really hard for her to win because they're going to have to vote for her still at the end. And if she keeps flopping back and forth, I mean, she said to Zeke tonight, let's get rid of Sierra first, then Ty, or what was it? It was Sierra, then Andrea, then Ty, or whatever it was. And like, those are your next three. That's going back and forth. And that's a hard way to play the game and still get people to like you.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. And just maybe everyone will cave in and turn on her. Like, who knows?
Yeah. Aaron Weiner, I'm loving Ty's game and think he was playing Idol very well. I think so too. I think he's playing much better than last time. Seems like everyone really likes Cerise, so I think she will get idled out. And wow, could Michaela possibly go to Final Three? I'd love to see her talk at the Final Three.
I would love to see that too. And also, I'm reading our comments, and I saw that Michaela just tweeted, because I know a lot of people have been asking about this. Imagine if you're frustrated, lonely, misunderstood, and only have two friends. Then you stab one of them in the back. That's why I cried. There we have it.
There you go. Hey, that makes sense. That's a perfect explanation.
Perfectly justified by the woman herself.
Yeah. Jacob Kaufman, who has a better chance to win, Troyan or Michaela? I think Troyan, because if he gets to the end, people seem to like him. Michaela doesn't seem like anybody likes.
It's all about who you like.
Wub, of all the females, can't believe Andrea is the one dominating the challenges. Not upset about it at all, though.
Andrea's pretty athletic.
Yeah, she hasn't been great at challenges in her seasons, but I think I said, like, Andrea is a challenge threat, and, like, at the beginning of the season, and somebody was like, what? Since when? Well, boom.
Okay, that's funny, because on the flip side, I made a comment earlier this season that was like, I'm surprised Andrea is a challenge threat, and someone made the good point that she was the first woman to ever come back from Redemption Island, and she beat 3 big dudes. Like,
at a very
she's young. She was super young then.
Yeah, but that's a very small female favored challenge, to be honest.
But she's still won a challenge. I mean, she's still winning challenges.
Yeah, I get it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, she's. I think we underestimate her, but she's always been consistently athletic. Like, I'll give her that.
Darius Retzer, did you see Troyan tweets after the first challenge? Says he tore his ACL during it. Legend. Oh my God.
Legend.
I did not see that. That's crazy, though.
No way.
God, that had to have been fun the rest of the season.
Uh-huh.
Jar Jar Minx, finally Zeke and Michaela make a connection. He even wants to bring her to Final 5. Until now, I thought they were like Sierra and Haley.
That's the same. That's what I thought.
Yeah, and then they go, Jar Jar Minx goes on to say it feels like we lost some of their relationship in the edit, and I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. I know. I hate that we lose that in the edit. I don't know what we can – I mean, there's plenty that we can get rid of so that we can have that, but that just gives so much more context to the strategy and the storylines. Yeah.
Patty Joe, do you think Brad's side is going to be mad when they find out Ty had 2 idols and didn't help out his alliance?
Ooh, maybe.
I don't think so. They might be sitting there like this now, but he didn't have to play one a night. The alliance was going against each other. Now, next week, that could be a different story.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how all these advantages and idols come out, because as we've mentioned, no one really knows that anyone has anything.
Mm-hmm. Wub, I'm so unimpressed with the men this season. Literally every male left is a probable GOAT to drag along to the end. I totally disagree. I don't think that Ty or Brad are GOATs at all. I still think Ty's playing probably one of the best games. He's playing a likable game. He was very calm tonight. He was going against his alliance, didn't play one of his idols. His name comes up a couple times, but he's not in the best situation. But I think he's playing a really good game and a really quiet game. And even though he felt like he was in trouble, he didn't play one of his idols because he didn't need to. And then Brad, I think Brad and Sierra are making the calls together. I just think that we've seen it more as Sierra's, and Sierra's being set up for the downfall, and Brad's not. I disagree.
And I think we're in a season where at the moment there aren't really any massive GOATs. Like, we could call Michaela a GOAT, but I feel her improve, more people respecting her. And Debbie has gone on record saying that she actually kind of likes her. Sari likes her. There are people out there who like her, and now they're not now, Brad and Sierra are complaining about how annoying she is. I really think they're using that as a tool when they want to get rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really think we're in a situation where there aren't any extreme goats.
Yeah. Wub, it's like Micro in Panama never happened. I'm so impressed. Not to forget last week's scene. She will finally win an immunity. This is sorry, I missed the first part. This is Sari's best game yet. She has a Shield and Andrea connections to Sarah, Troy, Ty, and Michaela.
I figured it was in reference to Saray.
Sari's playing great right now. It's just a matter of she has to win that immunity, the last immunity she has to win, or she's not making the Final Four or Final Three.
And that's always been her downfall. So let's hope she can pull it out.
Yeah. Wub also says Brad, Ty, and Troy making it far. I think you pronounced Andrea, Sari, and Aubry wrong, Phil. We'll see, Wub. We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't know. I just don't see it. Just from the edit perspective, not so much where they stand right now, just the edit perspective. I just don't see. If that's the Final Three, we saw like none of that early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we didn't see that coming.
Jeremy Krebs, is Sari playing a better version of Sandra 2.0? Quietly run the show behind the scenes and someone never come up as a target. If she can get to the end.
I feel like Sandra was a little louder.
She was. I mean, she also tried to work with Rupert, and then once she couldn't work with Rupert, she just decimated that side and then was like, you're still going to vote for me, you dumbass. And then he does vote for her to win, and she did play a little bit louder. But Sandra's a louder player than Sari just naturally.
Yeah, Sari's not a loud player at all.
Yeah. Wub, Sarah is a goat. The cop turned criminal is referencing the consequence that the criminals pays, losing a final tribal. It's interesting. I said this before. Sarah's edit is confusing me. I don't know if she's getting the winner's edit or if she's getting the villain edit. I can't tell still.
Sounds like Tony.
It does sound a bit like Tony.
Sounds very Tony-esque.
Let's see here. Giovanni Arana, what do you think of the return of HB? We love it.
Oh, I'm so excited. As happy as I am that Sari is making it this far, I'm also so happy because we're getting more HB.
Yes, exactly. Aaron Wiener, throwbacks to a simpler time when Survivor was on Thursdays and finales were on Sundays. Yeah. Represent.
Wow,
Jeremy Krebs. Andrea got exactly what she wanted, but did she overexpose and put herself in danger as a result? Alliance in jeopardy. See, this is the dilemma.
See, Andrea's already been pretty exposed, though.
Yeah, I mean, she has. It's just like Zeke. The reason this is such a tricky vote is because you get rid of Zeke, who probably wasn't in your alliance really anyway. But by not getting rid of Sierra, you keep that alliance with an extra number automatically. You might have been able to work with Zeke for one more vote. Zeke did say in his exit thing, Andrea should be glad she got rid of me now because I was coming for her next. And so Andrea did strike at the right time, but was she kind of in a lose-lose situation here?
She was. So she got rid of the number one person who's gunning for her. So I can't fault her for that.
Jar Jar Minks, if you think she's getting villainous, do you think Officer Sarah is finally playing like a criminal? It's so funny they call her Officer Sarah.
I think it's so cute that they call her Officer Sarah. I love it.
It's so funny. Stephen Holt. God, I'm reading the comment already. Stephen Holt. Adam was great on your show. He really gave you his best. Yeah, we loved it. That's why we were surprised that the views were a little bit down. Yeah. It's funny. Like that was like our lowest predictions episode of the season. It's like,
which is bonkers. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not stunt casting. I'm just surprised.
Yeah. I'm awful. I didn't even end up reading his power rankings. Did he take ours into account?
A little bit. He moved Brad down one spot.
Go us.
Yeah, you still beat him there because you put Zeke in last and he put him at 9. He still had Andrea in last, which is really funny. Jacob Kaufman, I went back to watch your draft of season 30 and you both thought Vice was good. Made it hard to watch the next few podcasts. You barely picked Mike. Oh, Vince was good. So he's talking about me and Will. Hey, Will. Vince,
wow, that is throwing it way back.
I'm just going to throw this one thing out there with Vince. Vince should not have gone home at that vote. He really should not have gone home at that vote. As crazy as that was, Jen should have ended up going home there, which would have been even worse for us because I loved Jen. I said Jen was going to win the game. But Vince really still should not have gone home at that vote if you really watch that.
There was also a really great Funny 115 that came out today about Vince, and it's incredible.
I have to watch that.
They're all so good.
Alex Day, Zeke with the episode title. Yay for finally getting that crossed off my prop bet. Okay, so there we go. Let's go over to YouTube. While I still have air left. Connor Nagel. I feel like Jeff Probst and Mark Burnett created Zeke and designed him to try and make their big moves no matter what the scenario may be.
That's so funny.
But tonight he tried to be quiet and he ended up going home.
I know. That's what's so funny about it. It's too little too late.
Benji Mitchell, why were the 3 votes pinned on Ty? And sooner or later, Sari is going to float her way to the end. I see her going a final 4 or 5 or making it all the way.
You're right. I have no idea why they voted Ty because no one told us. I'm going to keep saying it.
I totally get it. See, I think I've explained it so well, though.
No, I get why they did it. But from a viewer perspective, we were never told why, like, that they were voting Ty. That's the only reason I have a problem with it. It's like we were never told that Michaela and Zeke were friends. It's the exact same concept.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Gamer Girl, it was a blink and you miss it moment, but were those spiders on top of those cakes at the reward? If so, ill. Even if they were fake and edible, ill. So,
wow, got to rewatch that. Ew, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either, even if they were fake. Bullshit. Last week, Sierra was griping about Michaela annoying her by eating. This week at the reward challenge, she leans in close to Michaela and says, "Can you believe it?" With excitement when Jeff announces what the reward is like they're best friends. What gives? Was she just trying to pick on any trivial reason to put a target on Michaela's back last week?
Probably.
And not only that, like if you see food, you get excited. You don't care who's standing next to you. Food is the great equalizer out there.
Yeah, I noticed that. I thought that was smart of them to put that in.
Mm-hmm. Bullshit. Does it surprise you Michaela was so emotional about voting out Zeke when we haven't seen them interacting or strategizing together? Yeah.
Yes.
But she's explained it. She's gone on to explain it. Bullshit. With her cop instinct, why does Sarah insist that she trusts Zeke the most when he's clearly one of the least trustworthy players out there?
Well, Sarah's a criminal, so.
That's why. I also think that she just felt like she could maneuver with Zeke, and she said to Sari, I can get rid of Zeke because I have this extra vote. So she was going to use Zeke as far as she could and then get rid of Zeke.
Yeah, which is smart.
Yeah.
She's not doing it.
Bullshit. Guess we know who was on the bottom of the Sierra Brad Troy's anti-alliance. His own alliance members voted against Ty to save Sierra from being voted out by the other alliance. Is that a good move? Because now, based on the previews, Ty is going to flip to the other side and he has 2 idols.
I don't think it was the best thing to do that.
It wasn't the best, but I still think they're all going to come out of this okay. Ty might not work with them, but I feel like if Sarah and Michaela say, guys, we want to get rid of Andrea, Ty's going to do it.
Yeah, we'll have like a double flip.
Yeah, exactly. Ben Schoenfield, Brad talking about the Gators, the best moment in Survivor history. Go Gators. As a diehard, as 2 people who went to Miami. Sorry, Ben, but you're not on our good list.
That's not okay.
Not even a little. I can't believe I just said go Gators out loud.
Ugh.
Just don't be a Seminole because then we'll have to do a 45-minute podcast about how much we don't like you. Args 13. When Andrea won immunity, she should have broke the 4th wall, looked at the camera, and said, "You're welcome, Phil." I cheered so hard for Andrea during that challenge. I couldn't believe it. I was in absolute shock at myself. I was almost disgusted with myself. I was like, wow, you are like screaming at your screen. Because I actually felt like I was like, damn, Andrea could really go this week. And then she pulled it out, and I was like, hell's yeah, I need that for the Eliminator game. We lost somebody finally today. We're not going to owe 8 buffs, Alexa.
We're not. But I'm looking through my text messages right now. I want to frame at 8:42 p.m.
Is there any cursing?
I love Andrea.
Wow. We should blow that up. Make that the title card for this episode.
I'm totally going to do that. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, I said it. Hey, I've liked Andrea this season. I really have.
Andrea's been awesome this season. I am a huge Andrea fan after the season.
You know what? Tonight, finally, even if it doesn't work out for her, I will say tonight was finally the time where Andrea struck first. In her first 2 seasons, she never was able to do it. She always ended up realizing she needed to make a move, but it was the week too late. Tonight, she struck first, which good for you. She pulled it off, and that's good. That's what I've wanted to see in 3 seasons of Andrea. Now I'll understand the love. Now I'm okay with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like she's a great strategic player, but she's always a step behind. Tonight, she was a step ahead, and that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
We have Gamer Girl. At first, I was questioning why Ty didn't play his idol for Sierra, and then I was happy when I saw 3 Ty votes because that could have been potential for him to go home with 2 idols in his pocket. That would have been really funny.
That would have been very James of him.
Would have been very James of him, but not nearly as dumb of a move as the James one, because James one there was just brutal. There's no reason for that. Still wouldn't have been as bad, but it would have been something. Sorry, I had to refresh the page because I was out, so now I have to find where we were. Oh, and Azelle, after the episode, can Michaela win? She had an emotional moment in the preview. She seemed to be making alliances and moves. She's becoming smarter, and I think she has a shot. Tell me what y'all think. I still think she can win.
I think she has better chances than ever. We were talking about her like she was a GOAT, and I don't see her as that anymore.
No, I still think she's a GOAT. One moment does not make you not a GOAT. I still think she's a GOAT.
But I think we're learning now that maybe not Debbie doesn't hate her. We thought maybe Debbie didn't like her at first. These people, I think Michaela bothers them probably as much or as little as the next person, but she's just an easy person to throw out all the time. So that's why her name gets thrown around. I hope
her votes at the end. I just don't see how she gets votes at the end. It's too little too late. She still hasn't made the personal connections with anybody. So if Michaela gets to the end, she's not getting any votes.
Well, what if she's up against Sarah, who you just said a lot of people could be very pissed off at?
Yeah, it's possible, but there's going to be a third person sitting there who's going to be more likable than both of them then.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, there will. Whatever. Giovanni Ariana, this Sunday I'll be on a plane to El Salvador, for 3 weeks, but don't worry, I'll try to still comment and ask, and I'll talk about your podcast to my family who also watches Survivor. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's keep being international. Dennis O'Connell. Is it me or is this season just getting worse and worse? I was close to turning the episode off and watching the Cavs game, and they were winning by damn near 30 points. I knew Zeke was going because they didn't show the other Lions was voting for. If Sarah and Michaela were going to make their move, then they would need Brad and them, and they didn't show it. In my opinion, I think they need to get rid of reward challenges. It takes too much damn time, and they are not as fun as they used to be. Either don't air it or do a reward/individual immunity.
See, what's sad about the reward challenges is we don't even see the reward anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why they're unnecessary. So I agree with that part. I actually think the last 2 episodes have been the best 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah, I'm so down on the season, but I liked how tonight went.
Yeah, I'm liking these better. Giovanni Ariana, who's more salty about Debbie being voted out, Debbie herself or Alexa?
Oof, that is a close call. It's probably me. I got you, Debbie.
Args13, why did Brad write Tia instead of Ty? Was it a spelling error?
Probably.
Totally.
The thing about all these, I love when people spell people's names wrong, but it's funny because you can't ask someone how to spell their name. You can't do that.
Brad did this on purpose. He was trying to pretend that it was somebody else.
Oh yeah. No, I know this specific situation, but on the whole, when there's so many spelling errors, and that's part of the reason why.
Yeah. William Fauntleroy, hey, just want to say again how much I love you guys, but I wanted to ask a random question that I've been meaning to ask. Oh God, I haven't looked at this yet.
I'm excited.
If you had to do another podcast for another game show, reality competition show, what would it be?
Does it have to be a game show or a reality competition?
We were close to doing The Bachelor for 5 minutes just because we had nothing to do in the winter, and then all of a sudden we started getting the interviews, and then we were like, well, there's no reason to do The Bachelor. I
also don't really watch The Bachelor. I'm trying to think. I don't watch. This is the only reality game show that I really watch. I watch Jeopardy.
I used to watch. Yeah, okay.
Deal or No Deal. I was so into Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, that was cool. That's also been off the air for 500 years.
I don't watch TV much.
I used to watch The Amazing Race. And is this going to be the last season of The Amazing Race? Because if it is, that could be a really fun show to do a retrospective on, I think. Because that was you think Survivor's iconic, but Amazing Race was also iconic at the time. I mean,
yeah, those were paired.
The biggest problem with The Amazing Race is that it came out right after 9/11. And then they were in a little bit of trouble because people just didn't want to watch people travel around the world at that point. But that show had the longevity. It was awesome. It was really fun. I haven't watched it in a couple seasons, so I don't really know what it's like now. But I mean, that could be a fun show to do a retrospect on and just talk about older, the older pairs.
Yeah, that's one of those shows that I think a lot of people will say the same. A lot of people who don't watch Survivor would say the same thing about Survivor. I don't watch it, but when I do, I really, really like it.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of lost interest. There was a season with Marcus Pollard, and there were 2 snowboarding guys. And they got totally screwed because the cab drivers for the other 3 teams just followed each other, even though they had all given the wrong directions. And I was just like, this show's dumb. Those 2 snowboarder guys were by far the best. They were so far ahead. That's why they couldn't follow the pack. And I was just like, this is stupid. I don't need to watch this anymore.
Rob and Amba were on it.
Yeah,
They were on
I didn't watch that season. I watched the Ethan
didn't
and
watch
Jenna
that
one.
season.
They were like the first ones out.
That's sad. Who else?
Um,
Yeah, again, would those be the only survivors who were on it? A lot of Big Brother people, like Natalie and Nadia were on Big Brother, right?
no, Natalie and
What
Nadia
were they
were
on?
on
Oh, they
were
were
on
in
The
the
Amazing Race.
Amazing Race. Okay.
Yeah.
Hayden was on Big Brother and Caleb.
Yeah. What are you doing, Alexa? What are you doing?
Like the mixing up my reality. This is why we can't do another reality podcast.
I know, right? I mean, I would love to do like a regular TV show. I just don't know what it would be.
I don't. Yeah. TBD. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah, we will. Kaylee B, I really feel like Aubry has no chance of winning. I'm shocked at how bland her edit is. It's a bland edit in terms of a winner's edit, but it's a really fun edit in terms of she's giving me entertainment.
I am entertained, and that's what I want.
She's saying her and Troyan are getting very similar edits to me, where like they're just
Like
like
a
saying
silly
things that are
edit.
goofy, and you're like, ha, they're still there. I'm happy.
Oh, right. Yeah, they're there. That was like Brad getting the cute edit early on.
Oh God, thank God that ended. But next week it's back in full force, I think.
Lots of antiquing.
Right?
Actually, the reward is going to be an antiquing event, and I hope Brad and Monica win it.
There you go. They can come back and decorate the camp. Wences Acosta. Appreciation for Brad's perspiration moment during that puzzle. Appreciation for Michaela actually crying during tribal. If Sarah was smart, she would use her vote steal next round, keep her majority in the majority, thus silencing some fears. That's an interesting point.
That would, yeah.
I don't know.
Who knows?
That'd be interesting. I don't think she has to use her vote steal, though, and I don't think she's going to. If Michaela or Sarah voted tie, we could have seen tie on tie and had a rock draw tonight. That is kind of cool. Like, so they had to have known that Michaela and Sarah weren't flipping because they had to make sure that there wasn't going to be a tie. That tie would have killed them.
I know we keep forgetting about this rock draw because it's never really come close to happening.
No. Will Andrea be blindsided next week considering that Sarah confession about Andrea has power now? She calls the shots. It really sticks out.
Yeah, that was when she said that, I thought she wasn't going to. I thought she was going to go for Andrea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, so did I. But Andrea wins immunity because she's the should I say the new queen? Because she saved me. She saved me from getting eliminated from the Eliminator.
You're going to make a lot of people mad.
She saved me from getting eliminated from the Eliminator, so she can be the queen for tonight.
Every fan that we got because Troyan tweeted about how much he likes us, we just lost because you just referred to someone who wasn't Sandra as the queen.
No, but because I said for tonight, she gets to be the queen tonight. Get her the tiara because I'm not at the Eliminator game and I got to use Andrea. Wentz says, finally, will anyone wake up to see that Michaela's a physical threat? I mean, besides the awkward moment of Ty completely under Michaela, she was killing that reward challenge. Amna Al-Shama, Sari Andrea, iconic alliance. Could be if they go to the end, that's for sure.
Yeah, that'd be huge.
Let's see. The Sarge. Anybody notice this yet? Brad, Troyan, Ty, and Sierra may be the bottom four, but this alliance has combined a total of 3 hidden immunity idols, a legacy advantage, and a more reserved Culpepper. And the five of Andrea, Michaela, Sari, Aubry, and Sarah have a vote steal only. So right now the bottom 4 actually have a 3-1 lead, just like the Warriors last year. So wait, never mind. Sorry, Will. That's kind of fun.
That was fun. I like how that ended.
Yeah, that was good. Anthony Cusada, Sierra is the only one in the game who has almost 10 votes. Currently, she's at 9. She's followed by Michaela at 6 and Andrea and Ty at 5 each. Sierra's been a target a lot.
Yeah.
Wentz Acosta. Speaking of Zeke, you guys are talking Zeke on live. Was the only one to notice how weak Zeke's pitch was for a final 5 on the beach. Too much stumbling on words and maybes in his explanation. Like, he part told them his plan and part tried to compromise with them. Yeah,
I think he was figuring out that he wasn't in a great position because when he spoke to Michaela, he was like, "It's quiet. Something's wrong here," and I think he was freaking out.
You know, it was really interesting. This was the first time I think I ever saw Zeke nervous when he was talking to Troyan and Brad. He seemed nervous. He seemed like he was almost like asking permission, and like this was the first time I think we've ever seen Zeke in a position where he doesn't seem like he's in power, and it was a very unique look at that. And I was kind of surprised by it. Maybe it's just because Troyan and Brad are like these 2 big dudes that are so tight and they might not buy your pitch. But I really think they were willing to work with Zeke. But it seemed like he was nervous about it.
Yeah, I think because he and Brad had a connection, and I think he probably could have worked with Ty, but the writing was probably already on the wall at that point.
Yeah. Ice X, question for you. I like this question because Will and I had to deal with it last season anyway. But he says, as you get to know more and more survivors personally, you're going to be able to maintain your objectivity. In other words, if Adam Klein returns in a future season, would you be able to criticize his gameplay when warranted? If you go back and listen to me and Will talk about last season, we were ripping Adam apart at that merge. He played so bad there, and we called him out on it, and he came on our podcast, and when he came on the podcast at the end of the season, he goes, I won. Nobody expected it. You guys certainly didn't believe in me. I remember that perfectly because, like, we were calling him out the whole time. Will thought Jay was going to win, and I thought David was going to win.
Both, like, perfectly reasonable people to think you're going to win. Yeah, I remember because when I, like, kind of joined last year and I was listening all the time, so many people were saying, oh, you guys are so biased towards Adam. But I don't think so. There was a lot of negativity towards Adam. And not towards – I think the thing is, like, it's one thing to criticize someone's gameplay and it's another thing to criticize someone's character. I tried to just talk about the gameplay because once it gets personal, yeah, then that person comes on the podcast and I'm like, oh yeah, I said something really bad about you. Like that's not a good thing to do. Where we don't know these people, all we know is their gameplay. And Adam at that point made a blunder, and you guys called him out on it.
Are you being critical of somebody if you're not ripping apart their entire life and hoping for the worst things to happen to them?
Nope. You got to go
today's
all the
day
way.
and age, right? No, not at all. I don't hope the worst for Adam. Oh, P.S. Stop moving your mic.
Oh, sorry.
It's bouncing. I can hear it bouncing. I don't know if it's on your knee or what, but it's driving me nuts. I feel like my head's gonna explode. But anyway.
Okay, in that case, let me keep doing that.
Yeah. Now I'll rip apart Alexa instead. But yeah, no, that was fun. Once Acosta, if you put a podcasting spot up for Patreon, I will be willing to take this spot while Phil is in France, considering I started the chaos of the drinking game. I'm doing this. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm gonna have bags under my eyes. I'm gonna look like a wreck. But
Phil, you should put on some makeup.
Yeah, I hope
I got called out because I apparently put on more makeup than usual last week.
Yeah, your hair looks normal again. You're not
I don't see my hair looked. I just happened to get a haircut that day, and I didn't do anything different with my makeup. So whatever I did with my lighting, I guess I should keep it going.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe it's working.
Allegedly.
I got no compliments. Gamer girl, why not have Adam fill in for Phil while he's in France? Because Adam's probably the busiest guy ever right now.
Alexa and Adam.
But still look at everything Adam's done. CVB. Debbie, I think, is the Kathy from All-Stars this season. I find it easier to like somebody when they're on the bottom, as is the case with Sierra this season. Sarah gets to the end. I think she gets Zeke's vote based on his final words. Troyan will be the most awesome winner of the show at this point, considering his edit.
It'd be like a Fabio edit.
Yeah.
Which I would be more than okay with because I absolutely love Fabio.
But Fabio was even getting more about his actual strategy to win the game.
Yeah.
We have Jacob K. Who would win in a final two, Troyan or Michaela? I already said I think it would be Troyan. I want to check something here before I go to this next comment. This is really important, so that's why I need to do it.
Standing by.
Yeah, stand by. This is very important. Hopefully I don't cut out because I have to load something else on my screen, which will probably make
my gosh, it's just going to become the Alexa talks to herself show. Well, Phil works out
which nobody wants to listen to. Oh my god.
No one wants that.
I think I'm okay here, but I want to make sure before I say it. Look, my computer's trying to load. It's a long.
I hope it's a slow motion video of Troyan hugging Jeff.
Did you? No, it's not. Okay. There it is, and we're going back across. And okay, so our next comment, he probably knows it's coming too at this point. But our next comment comes from Kevin Smith, who was eliminated from the Eliminator game tonight. Yay! Sorry, Kevin. I had to take a shot at you there. You're the first person eliminated since the iconic double boot of Alexa and Adam. So it's been a while. It's really been a while. Since somebody went, but Kevin did go tonight.
Someone eliminated since then. That's crazy.
That's crazy. I know. But like the thing is, everybody's down to so few people that it's like way tougher. And tonight he went with Zeke. Didn't work out, but let's read his comment here. Did you all see Troyan say towards ACL during the challenge? He was limping pretty bad during the immunity challenge. Plus, so far, every vote post-merge has been a blindside. I can also see Sri making it far. No one is even looking at it right now. It's all Andrea, Sierra, and Sarah will emerge as a big threat if she flips again.
So what are you pulling up here? I did see that Troyan tweeted that.
No, what I was pulling up was to make sure that he actually lost the Eliminator challenge because I didn't want to say he lost and then actually have it be true or not true.
Oh, wow. That was disappointing.
Well, it's disappointing for you. I'm sure Kevin loves it.
What was it? Yeah, that is freaking insane if Troyan tore his ACL. I'm sure he did. That's bananas.
And then he has to do the challenge where you're high stepping. I'm sure that feels good on his 50-something-year-old torn ACL.
That is going to remain torn because you can still function with the torn ACL
for like another 10 days.
It's about how much longer they have.
This is definitely my favorite question of the night, and this has appeared other times. We just kind of haven't said it, but Jacob K. Phil, do you even like Will? And
no, we don't.
No, I despise him. The thing is, Will and I, when we podcast, we love taking shots at each other. And I remember when Will did the podcast with Alexa, he said his opening line was, "This should be your favorite podcast because it's your favorite specialist and it's Alexa and Phil's not here." And like, I don't know, me and Will are like really good friends in real life. So like, if I can't rip apart Will, like I don't know, like if you can't rip apart your friends, then like what kind of friends are you? You know, that's the kind of friendship that Will and I have.
just think it's so funny that because Phil and I are not good friends, want to make that part very clear.
Yeah, I can't say anything nice about. Or I can't say anything.
And also, I think it's funny because I don't take the shots that Will takes, but I feel like we're pretty sassy with each other, and I get by scot-free, and I am more than cool with it.
Yeah, you get like we said, it's because we're really not that good of friends. Like I have no problem ripping on Will because we're really good friends. If I say something to Alexa, she'll just get mad, and then I have to deal with like 45-minute text conversations. And who wants to deal with that?
And it's usually not even me who starts them.
I know exactly. I don't even know what you just said there, but moving on. Will I ever talk to Will again? Absolutely not. Jacob K. Oh wait, we already got that one. Brass scroll. Sure. Not to read into the edit, but does the continuous positive Brad edit every episode make you guys think he's going to the end? And no, totally read into the edit. I know RHAP doesn't really read into the edit. We love reading into the edit. Yeah, I do think Brad's long for this game, and that's why I keep saying the other side is going to end up falling apart, is because we've just seen so much more positive from Brad and Sierra and even Ty, and then Sarah, who's been like the villain. She's such a big character right now. The only one on the other side is Sari. Andrea's picked up of late, but if we're looking at anything that happened before Final 12, Andrea's not really a part of it.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree.
Let's see. Jacob K., I think you guys missed it, but if you looked in the background near the end of the reward with a close-up on Andrea, there was a cameraman. Uh-oh. They are out there.
I cut out during that. Can you repeat that?
There was a cameraman after the reward challenge in the
show. I love when they pop up.
Jason Obermeyer. Alexa, who do you think is the greatest male and female non-winner? God, that's easy, right?
Yeah. I mean, Sari is definitely the greatest female non-winner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Who do you have for male?
I always say Sesternino because he was so ahead of his time for Amazon, and if he makes the final two, he wins. He played the Will Wall game and would have won had he made the final two. And everybody like respected his gameplay, and then that's why he gets voted out in All-Stars, is because everybody knew he was just too big of a threat.
Yeah, he got like absolutely. I don't like to say screwed, but the way it went down in All-Stars was very upsetting.
Yeah, and like I can't sit here and say like it's David because like David played like last season.
This happened, yeah.
It's a lot different when you've seen so much time. I'm not saying David's like David's still a great player, a great non-winner, probably one of the best. But I just think like Rob and Siri, they're so ahead of their time with it. It's really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Lex might even actually be a better non-winner than David, which I know
is I was actually going to say Lex. I am a big Russell hater, but there's a case for Russell. I some combination of those three. Yeah. I love Lex.
Yeah, Lex was great. It's a shame that him and CBS don't get along. Jason Obermeyer, who had the best final tribal council performance of all time. Wow, so we're out of this, but Chris Darter.
Well, oh my God, you stole my thunder.
Well, yeah, because it's my sixth favorite season. It's your favorite, so I had to get it in before you.
Well, it's a great freaking season.
It is,
yeah,
but
Chris
it's
an absolute champ.
The greatest, one of the greatest Survivor moments, so underrated, is I brought your hat.
I brought your hat. Almost as good as
nothing.
I
have, but yeah, I brought your hat. It means nothing, and he got her vote for it. It's amazing.
Incredible.
It's amazing. They get to that reunion, and Jeff's like, "Do you believe in anything?" Like, because of course he's dating Julie, so he can't be nice to the guy. But
yeah, because at that moment he was. Oh, yeah. So good.
Amazing. Jake Larson, why Sarah want to play with Sari, Andrea, and Aubry when they are so much better strategic players than Troyan, Brad, and Ty? And that's where I keep saying that's why she's not going to. She did it for this vote, but she's not going to moving forward.
Yeah. Which makes no sense because she didn't even want to be a part of this vote.
And it's great, though, because she can turn around and say to Zeke, I'm avenging you. I had no choice but to get rid of you at that moment, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to be aligned with these guys. They kind of forced my hand. I had no other move to make.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Blame it on them? Bullshit. Fun fact, I always thought Phil was the tall one, but just recently found out that Will is the tall one. Fun fact, I think I told everybody I was like 5'8" on this podcast.
Yeah, we talked about it because someone said that I was tall, and then we talked about how Will is tall. And then we wasted 10 minutes talking about our height.
Then we talked about our height for the rest of the time. We got two more comments. Ice X, I agree that you both stay away from character assassination and concentrate on the gameplay analysis instead. Keep it up. That's what we're trying to do. We're doing a Survivor podcast, not like a therapy podcast where we rip apart people and try to make them go into therapy. When's Acosta? You guys gracious. Yeah, just saying. When's Acosta? Do you guys miss hearing about how Sierra voted out her mom? Also, non-Survivor comment, but I'm still shocked neither of you have mentioned either Paramore's new sound or the Dark Tower trailer, considering that's all the internet is about currently. Also, want to let you know I like you guys so much. I got an ad before I clicked into the live stream and watched the whole commercial.
Thank you. Wow.
That's the millions of dollars we were telling Adam about. We're making millions.
That is MVP to you.
Yeah, exactly. It's really funny. My mom's always like, I watched the ad. I'm like, cool. Did you listen to the podcast?
Nope. Just watch the ad. Gave you some moolah and left.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for the $1.
Wow, that is a great comment to end on.
Yeah, but I will say the Dark Tower trailer.
I actually haven't watched it.
It was. For anybody who's wondering, that's a fart noise. If you're not actually watching the podcast, you're only listening. You can't see my face. I'm making a fart noise. I wasn't impressed.
And Phil is farting on the podcast.
I wasn't impressed.
I don't even know what it is.
Really, it's the Stephen King books.
I'm really, but I don't like scary.
It's like really not scary though. It's more like.
But I'm even bad with really not scary. I'm also like I'm 3 weeks behind the times. So like I'm just hearing about that Circle movie.
Yeah, that was supposed to be really bad.
Which I've heard is really bad. I read the book, which was interesting. Heard the movie was awful.
Yeah, my one friend who read the book said he really hated the book, and then he was like, "Oh, cool, they're making a movie that looks uninteresting." And the movie really doesn't have good reviews.
Great movie, The Promise. Check it out.
Did you watch it?
Heck yeah, I watched it. I saw it opening weekend.
God, I interned at that company.
Wow, did you see the movie?
No, I haven't. I got to read.
I see it.
I like read the script, and they're like, "Oh, we're shooting this," and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then like it's funny that it comes out like over a year later, and I'm like, "Oh, you guys were shooting that when I was interning for you, and it's been over a year, and I totally forgot."
Oh, that thing.
Cool. But yeah, no, that was cool. What else do I have to say? Do we have anything else to say? I mean, I just kept talking and talking. And
no, I think we've blabbed enough. I think we've bothered everyone to the point where we should probably stop.
I'm down.
Yeah. Okay, I'm down. So in that case, vote for MVP and LVP on the comment section of this video, not in live chat, or tweet at us at Phil_and_Will. Give us a follow. Give us a subscription on YouTube and iTunes. This is Survivor Specialist Phil and Will. And we'll be back sometime this weekend, probably Sunday, for our, as always, extremely accurate predictions and power rankings.
Yeah, it's going to be Cinco de Mayo, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, TBD if we survive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. See you Sunday.